So my name is Tano. I'm 17. I grew up in Beijing. My father's Chinese and my mother's German. That's about it. I think my father he encouraged it the most, but I think to give original credit, it was my grandpa since he left me his camera. And I guess it started from there, and then my father, I guess, encouraged it more and more. I think it's hard for me personally, but I think it's also hard for many others to put a quote unquote style on their own work because style is such a abstract idea that you don't really want to put yourself into any category. But if I were to put myself into a category, I'd say it'd be like documentary or like portraiture. I document the things around me, the people around me, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I think it's like falls under documentary. I think it gives me the privilege, I guess, of capturing these moments with either people close to me or complete strangers. So I guess in a sense I am sort of the observer or someone that just sees and captures, but also within like intimate moments with like friends and family, you're actually like there. Like it's kind of as not only an observer, but also as someone to capture and hold on to that memory. So I don't actually develop a lot of my film by myself. Most of the time I send it to a lab to get it professionally done and scanned since I don't want to risk any losses. But I learned partially from my father, but I also partially learned from like some film technicians in the lab. And if someone were to ask me why I don't do it more, because I think it's great if you practice these things, especially because it's another skill you learn and you get so many more options once you start developing your own film because you can push films more to a higher ISO or like pull them even, but it's just a hassle to do, and it's also a big financial like investment to even begin. And I think so many things can go wrong. Like if you really value the things you work on, or if you really believe in the work you create and you don't want to risk any loss, then I wouldn't say I'd recommend people to develop their own film. But I think if you have a like film role that you think if you lose it, it's fine, then go ahead. I think it's something great and everyone should learn it. The film is very limited. Like that's kind of the whole idea of it. You're limited to either color or black or white. You're limited to an ISO. You're limited to how many shots you have on it. So there's all these limits on it, and they kind of make you subconsciously value every photo a little bit more, because on a digital camera, sure, you're limited to whatever, let's say 28 gigabytes, but 28 gigabytes is like hundreds of photos. It's disposable. Like you can delete them and you can retake them again over and over and over again. With film, it's like you can also do the same, I guess, but you're still, I guess there's also the financial factor. It just costs more. So you're always in the sense of I have to make this worth it, which I think creates nicer images. So these two images are a friend of mine. His name is Nuli. And so the story behind it is he got a haircut in the morning and it was a really terrible haircut. I think the barber buzzed his hair and gave him like a bald spot or something. It was horrific, and everyone was making fun of him according to him. All of his friends, even his like family was like telling him it was a bad haircut. So eventually he couldn't take it anymore, and then he went home, got his clippers and just gave himself a mohawk. And this was the first time I saw him in like a while, and I was like, what happened? And I thought it was funny because the story is a funny story, but also because the mohawk is something unusual, I guess, and you don't really see a lot of people with mohawks nowadays. So these three are, I guess, like a look into some of my portrait work, or I guess the ones before too, but I think I take portraits mostly just to have an idea or to hold on to what these people like look like or what they look like in the moment. And I think when you take a portrait, or for me, at least when I take a portrait, I always try to do it as inconspicuously as possible, so you capture them like naturally, not like fake smile or like doing something weird, but like if you do it naturally, the image I feel like turns out always a little bit more composed and realistic. So these two images are taken not in Beijing, and the first one I took in Tokyo, Japan. The reason I like it so much is because in the center of the photograph you see the man holding up a poster, and on the poster he's, I guess, praising Jesus Christ or something, and next to the word Jesus is this beam of light. And I loved it so much because Jesus and light, it made sense. And also it's such like a small detail that I think makes a image that's like not like professionally saying, or like objectively speaking, it's not a great image, but the little details within it, I think, give it more value than its objective qualities. And the bottom image is a photo I took in Shanghai. Again, it's not really a great photo, it's not in focus, and it's overexposed, whatever. But it's an image I took for the first time where I was actually in someone's face. This was like a stranger, random guy on the street. And I went up close to him and I took a photo because I was like, this guy looks interesting. And you know, it kind of grew after that. Since he didn't like confront me, he didn't press me anything. So I think that was kind of my start into being more open to the idea of going up to people and just taking photos. So for me, I shoot on this, the Contax G1. It's a 35mm prime lens, so no zoom. When I do shoot, like I shoot people, for example, if I'm bold enough, I'll shoot it from my eye level because like I don't really care. But also, let's say if I'm worried or it feels better, I shoot from the waist sometimes and I just hope something lands because it's wide enough for you to be able to spray and pray and hope something happens. But also if not, then nothing happens. Like it's okay, like you let it go. So as I said before, it's Contax G1, Japanese brand. I think they were out of business though. I think they went out of business a long time ago. It's a Carl Zeiss lens. I think one of the best lenses ever produced. Super sharp. I really can't complain about it. The camera itself, it's really old, or it's like a lot older than whatever other people are using. Yeah, it's autofocus, aperture priority, but you can make a manual. Shoots only film, and this is the main camera I use to shoot most of my color work, at least. There's two types of film, there's color and there's black and white. And this is mostly my black and white camera, I guess. This I got off the internet. It was really cheap because it's completely beat. It doesn't work, like the top screen's busted and it doesn't really work, but it works good enough to capture photos. So I shoot mainly black and white with this, and it's also not as bulky and heavy as this one. So this is more day-to-day. I carry it around, capture small little moments in case something interesting happens. That's the biggest thing I think people should start doing. Like, I think you should always have camera on you. Even your phone, like if in case something interesting happens, I think my biggest regrets come from not having a camera on me. So yeah, that's something I think people should start doing more. At the end of 2024, I had composed or shot about, I think 10, 12 rolls of film. I was beginning to question myself, what was I gonna do with all these pictures? Because let's say I had like 360 photos, 400 photos maybe. And eventually I got the idea, maybe I'll make a book. Since you know that's what a lot of photographers do to showcase their work. So I went through all of the photos and I eventually picked my favorites and made this, which was my first, I guess, piece or book that I was open to showcase and also for people to buy. A painter that I really like is Edward Hopper because his paintings look like photographs and you kind of want your photographs to look like paintings. So it's like goes both ways. But I always loved his paintings because it's such a simple composition and it's very clean and it's singular people or like small groups of people. And I think that's something that I try to strive for, I guess take photos that are like paintings. And then also this guy based in Berlin, his name's Daniel Wasbach. I found him through Instagram. I loved his work because it's a lot of portraiture and it's a lot like, it's very natural and doesn't feel out of place. And all of his images, I think, are very clean, something I really strive for. And I think he inspires me to take more portraits, I think. Thank you.